Hi, welcome to the podcast. This is 1001 albums to hear before you die.
Yeah, but not in a radio voice.
Oh.
That's what we called it.
Hey?
Didn't we call it 1001 albums then death?
yeah. Hi, welcome to...
I'm the person that's running this podcast, and I don't even know what it's called.
1000... Well, okay, so it was...
Stand by for further information.
This podcast was going to be called 1000 Albums Before We Die. However, Danny's decided it is a suicide pact. It's 1001 albums and then death. Once we've listened to all 1001 albums... we will all die.
We'll die because it'll take us that long, and also you might die listening to especially one of the 3 albums we've chosen to listen to today.
Do you know what's interesting is that we're starting this now, and in years to come, one of us may well have died. Yeah. So
almost certainly.
What do you think you might have died of?
I'm a cyclist.
So
yeah, definitely lung cancer.
Is that what does that mean?
I'll get hit by
for suffocation, essentially.
I'll get hit by a milk float.
Yes.
Yeah.
An embarrassing way to die.
Float.
Yeah. The world's most embarrassing way to die.
The one milk float around these days.
What are the chances?
Exactly.
But you won't die through the actual collision, you'll die through
lactose intolerance.
Drowning in the milk.
Drowning in milk. Or broken glass.
I think I've always said I'm going to die through a horrible sex crime. But not because I've done one on someone else.
Been inflicted upon you?
I've done it on myself. And what I've always said is always make sure you've got a spotter. But I guarantee that there'll be one day I'll be like, oh, I'll chance it.
You'll be found in a wardrobe with a tie around your neck.
Yeah.
Have you got your safe word sorted?
Door slammed shut and belt around neck.
Locked in a suitcase.
Locked in a suitcase.
Listening to Morrissey.
A Houdini work, I like to call it. I think you're going to die.
Self-immolation.
Self-inhalation. You're going to inhale yourself.
No, immolation.
I'd love to see that.
I'm going to set
really
fire to myself in a protest. Yeah.
You're going inside out.
Just absorb myself. No, I probably will either jump off something really tall or set myself on fire.
Or burn at the stake.
Set yourself on fire on purpose or in some hilarious...
No, I'm going to go sit in the lotus position in protest.
As long as there's 100,000 people chanting for your...
I want to die for something. Yeah. So, you know.
Are you going to die to make sure that people really feel your love for George Michael?
I may well do that. I may well put on some tight jeans, a white t-shirt and shake my ass until I combust.
Shave your ass.
Shake my ass.
I'm going to shake my ass until I set on fire.
Podcast. You're listening to a podcast. You're listening to some really cool guys. You're listening to a podcast. Find out what's next.
About 6 years ago, I had a friend, Rachel, who bought the book for her birthday, and she said, oh, I'm going to listen to all these albums. And I said, that's a cool idea, I'm going to do that. And I mentioned it to Simon. He said, I'm going to do that. Me and Rachel both instantly dropped the idea. Simon, 6 years later, has listened to about half the albums now.
About nearly 800.
Wow, okay.
800? More than once or just once?
Just once. I'm not an animal.
So we thought we'd formalise it into a podcast so we can share our group insights.
Yeah, because what the world needs is one more podcast.
And more people's opinions.
Let's just put some information in there.
So it is 1001 albums to hear before you die by Robert Dimery, and we're working on the 2016 edition. We are none of us are musical experts. We are just
excuse me,
uninformed.
I am qualified.
So yes,
with a GCSE.
Simon has a GCSE in music.
Oh yeah, I'm great through guitar, so therefore I'm perfectly poised to...
I also have a GCSE in music.
Well, okay, so I'm completely unqualified. I'll introduce myself. So I'm Chris. I, a year ago, became self-employed and now spend all of my time underground in a cellar working on carpentry projects. So I have no one to talk to. So I spend a lot of time listening to music, and that is my qualification for this. Simon?
I am Simon. I spent a previous life being in bands and doing GCSEs in music. Been sort of doing a few sort of gigs and so forth throughout my younger days, and now I'm a deeply frustrated man at a desk, and I escape life by listening to albums in a book.
Hello, I'm Danny.
Hi, Danny.
Hi, Danny.
Hi, I'm an alcoholic, and no, I'm not an alcoholic. I do kill prostitutes in my spare time. I have a GCSE in music and an A-level and a degree in music production.
And owns a microphone.
And owns the microphone.
Yes.
Which makes you very qualified.
Very powerful.
Very qualified. Yeah, powerful man. And I thought this was a really interesting idea, so I'll attach myself to it, like a leech attaches itself to a human chest. So let's suck some blood.
Excellent. And special guest of Polly.
Yeah, I'm just here for the wine. You guys crack on.
Right, great. Okay, yes. We also have two dogs joining us. Both Galgos, which are like greyhounds. They are very, very chilled out. Hugo is a psychopath against other dogs. He's very, very prejudiced against anything with four legs. Fortunately,
Lovely to us.
yes, yeah, lovely to humans. And Camber is just asleep, and he's not a psychopath. He's the long-suffering brother of Hugo, a psychopath. So Hugo, a psychopath, and Camber, the chilled-out, non-psychopath greyhound.
You, with that ham sandwich. Put down that ham sandwich. She doesn't love you. She never did. She loves podcasts now. Listen to this podcast, and she might love you again.
So the first album we're going to discuss is Frank Sinatra's In the Wee Small Hours, and that is introduced by...
Myself.
Simon.
This is such an interesting album because it stands apart from the other two in the fact that it was so long ago, 1955. It is pre-rock and roll almost. It's pre the invention of the teenager. It's just in a different time span and spectrum of music. So I feel that it's quite a difficult album to compare to the other two, just simply because it's argued in the 1001 book to be the first concept album. And bit of scene setting. 1955, first McDonald's had just been opened. Height of the Cold War and around the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, big fan of that. The first nuclear submarines were coming out.
Whee!
A black and white TV apparently cost $900, 20% of basically the average man's wage. Rosa Parks had just been on
The bus.
the famous bus.
The bus, yeah.
The Mickey Mouse Club had just started on TV. So we're at the birth of sort of mass consumerism in 50s America. Lots of
baby boomers.
yeah, lots of picket fences and westerns on TV and stuff like that. Musically, Elvis had only really kind of just got going. Bill Haley was around, Chuck Berry was around, but still a fairly early stage. In America, we're in a situation where you've got somewhere between gospel, weird country cowboy novelty acts on TV, and maybe the beginnings of, say, a little bit of rock and roll. So record producers are thinking, which way is it going? Even into the early 60s, the Beatles were being refused by EMI for being, they think it's a bit of a fad, this whole rock thing. So put into a place where someone like Frank Sinatra is one of the biggest stars in America at the time. Film star. He had recently, about 2 weeks before this album started being recorded, had just had a divorce from Ava Gardner. And probably that's one of the things that made him choose the rather emotional songs and quite tender songs on the album, as it were. It feels more like a Christmas album because you associate that croonerness with that sort of thing. So very erudite sounding, like a mature statesman.
It's crafted, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's not so much as we get now. I mean, no disrespect to any of the modern artists, but they were mostly classically trained musicians, and that very much it comes across in the orchestration, the arrangements, the style of music at the time. I
mean, when we think of Frank Sinatra, we think of old blue eyes, suits, sharp suits with braces, Mafia, Rat Pack, and that sort of thing, and his famous songs of My Way and Music to Watch Girls Go By. This album really stood out for being just so raw, and you could hear every aspect of that emotional, tender hurt that he was feeling. And my personal pick of the album was When Your Lover Is Gone, and I felt that song.
Oh, really?
I felt that song was, it really tapped into the idea of that, that everyone at some point has had a breakup where they're absolutely distraught. There's such a sadness about his voice, and there's a real vulnerability to what he's singing about, and I found that kind of quite interesting. But
So you use the word interested, and I will come at you with the complete opposite and say it was just boring.
okay, well, account for yourself.
I mean, if you were to take, this might be against what you think as well, Chris, but if you take each song separately and listen to it, and you've been listening to lots of different things for a while, and then you put any one of those songs on, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But then you listen to the next one, and you're like, okay, all right.
Was that on Christmas Day?
It's still good, and then you put the next one, and you're like, right, okay, and then you get like 4 or 5 in, and you're like, okay, this is pretty much exactly the same song.
But it's just not going back to the idea of it's a world away in time, as it were. It's a bit like going back in a time machine where you're used to the idea of maybe of like a modern album having sort of like really aggressive rock song, like fun acoustic song, maybe a slow ballad, and it goes back to a raucous rock song. This is a time when it was like it has that almost like 50s film score feel, where there is that throughout, and it is a lot of jazz standards. It's still a collection of songs. He hasn't written these himself.
So, Danny, you said that you found it a bit boring, and I expected that I would be the only one to have this opinion, but I thought it was rubbish.
Yeah.
And that was my first listening. I put all these albums on first and listened to them when I was like busy working or doing tidying up in the kitchen, whatever. Listened to them passively, like see if the music kind of captures me. Then I sat down and got the lyrics up and listened to them with my headphones on and tried to absorb them all. And Frank, I didn't find any connection to it. I didn't find any raw emotion in there. I thought it was a little bit. It feels like an actor playing a part to me. In terms
Funny
of
that Frank Sinatra.
well, right,
yeah.
But do you know what? So the little background I've done, Frank has already, he's deep into his career. He's released a number of albums before. His career is starting to decline. He's becoming less popular. The kind of the confidence swagger thing and the Rat Pack thing. It's kind of like it's kind of he's moving past that part of his career, and I feel like he's trying to add a new string to his bow by doing this really deep, introspective breakup album. But honestly, it didn't strike a chord for me. And I was thinking about where are the high points and low points on the album, and for me, the high point is In the Wee Small Hours of the Morning, which I think is a lovely, really tender, heartfelt song. And when I heard that, and especially when I sat down and listened to it and tried to absorb it, I was like, oh man, like I want to break up with my girlfriend so I can sit and listen to this song and feel.
She's not in the next room.
Yeah, love you. But like I wanted to I felt like I wanted to like, oh yeah, like if I was going for a breakup, I would sit and listen to this and I would feel bad. And then I listened to the next one and I was like, he doesn't sound like a guy going for a breakup. He sounds like a guy talking about somebody going for a breakup. And the point where, so you said your high point of the album was When Your Lover Is Gone, which is track 3.
I felt that was the most honest of the tracks.
That was track 8. That was the point where I felt I'd heard everything he had to say on the album, and at that point he was just repeating himself. That for me is the low
Thoroughness
point.
is a mark of a good artist. Thank you.
And after that, I kind of tuned out of it, and I couldn't really get back into it because it covered emotional breakup and longing and feeling sad, but again, there was no passion there. There was no, there was no Fall Out Boy in this. There was no
no swinging basses.
And even when we get to George Michael, the next one, there's just little things he puts in there. There's little lines that
we're 35 years apart.
People are people, aren't they?
We're trying to put ourselves in the mind of a 50s person listening to it in a way. Well,
because this is 1,001 albums to listen to before we die.
Yeah. Well,
we've got the perspective.
Understanding the context of obviously why in the book is part of the journey, and the time when it's released, he's a major celebrity and he's going out with another major celebrity. So this album is quite a public message to the world, and it's part of the Frank Sinatra brand, I guess, and his publicist is probably saying, yeah, this will really kind of get you into this. Do you think they released this so his public could relate to him a bit more and kind of tap into the this is like vulnerable Frank rather than tough mafia Frank, or like
maybe
bachelor Frank who's talking about watching pretty girls go by in open top sports cars.
Yeah, but it was still boring.
Yes.
It is certainly, it has a certain tameness by today's standards.
I think a restraint or a
considering
constraint.
okay, but
it's too restrained.
so looking
for an
at
album that's meant to be raw in inverted commas.
But let's look at the comparative albums at the time as well. In the book, we've certainly looked at things like Little Richard, who is just a complete opposite.
Yeah.
Flamboyant, rock and roll, megastar at the time.
But then if you compare it to
he has more.
The people that are writing his music, as I said earlier, classically trained. We're in the like 20th century of classical music here. This is like raw emotion, like huge orchestras. If you listen to like any of the symphonies at the time, they are interesting. This is not.
Say, is it the fact that you maybe not the person who you made the sort of music you usually listen to?
Possibly.
It's difficult. It is a different.
I must say, I've got a 100% prejudice against Frank Sinatra. I can't stand him. I think like everything he's done has just been like beige, and like I just can't get on board with him. And when I listened to the first song, which I think is in the Wee Small Hours, I thought, wow, this is going to be good. I completely misjudged it. And then I listened to the rest of the album. I was like, nope, you ruined it.
But maybe
have a chance.
Is there
singles man, not albums?
Is there the idea that you have to, again, it's one of the first albums, and that idea of having this kind of like journey where it kind of goes up and down is still not really in the pantheon of how to put an album together? Is it more the fact that he's put together this collection of songs, and it's obviously in his mind has worked? When we start to get towards the Beatles and Bob Dylan in particular, they have got that journey and they have got that range of different things. If he's coming from like a jazz standard background, a lot of those jazz standards are quite similar.
Yeah.
And by the very nature of jazz being built on those chromatics, it is very similar. It could be that, and it could be our historical. Do you just
understanding
hate jazz?
No, I like jazz, and I just think
I like jazz. You heard it here.
I mean,
that's now on tape.
I can tolerate jazz. I just a breakup record should have a little bit of heart in it, and he's made an entire album of breakup songs, and they all feel a little bit like a guy singing about breakup records.
Would you listen to it again, out of choice?
I would listen to it in a playlist with other things, maybe not necessarily the whole album in itself. However, I felt that what I've been doing is I've been giving every album a mark out of 5. 5 being outstanding, 4 being commendable, 3 being respectable, 2 being poor, and 1 just being completely empty and dead to me. I gave this a 4 because I felt that it was a real change in the sort of things I listened to, and I felt like there was certainly like quite a moving part of that album, which I would like somebody else to listen to get that. And his singing ability was fantastic. I thought he was he had a real class as a singer, and that's why I gave it 4. I do appreciate though that it is a world away from the modern, very hate to use the word, dynamic music that we have compared to those days. Much more maybe genteel.
Yeah. Twee.
Twee is a good word.
Danny, summary? Yeah. Good or bad? Would you put it in your list?
It wouldn't. It would be in my Schindler's List. Although he keeps them, doesn't he?
We do.
My opposite Schindler's List.
Yeah.
So it'd be in my Hitler
Goebbels list.
Yeah, Goebbels list. Probably shouldn't say that as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed man.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Start again.
Yeah. Danny, would it be in your list?
It would not.
No.
In my list.
No, wouldn't be in your 1,000. It wouldn't be in my 1,000 list. I would probably put Wee Small Hours on my playlist of like chilled out late evening songs to drink whiskey while listening to fedoras. Yes. I do like that song. The quality is high, but for me there was no connection there, so it's just a cool song. And
or if you have a classy dinner or something and you want to impress a lady or a man. Or
Yeah.
whatever
You put a breakup album on.
You put that. I don't know though, but you wouldn't really listen to the lyrics because you just
Yeah.
it's there in the background.
I think, but okay, so I'm going to have to defend this, and I'm going to have to say I would put it on my 1001. A, for the reason of it's simply the first kind of real class album. It's from a major singer who defined part of the 20th century. I thought the quality of the singing and songwriting was very high. But maybe it just kind of lacked that up and down journey and resolution, which would have put it, that one step higher into you would consider one of the best albums ever.
Yeah.
So maybe we just like Frank and the theme of Frank, but when it came to this kind of album, it just wasn't for us young buck modern guys.
Talking about music with a little bit of randomness thrown in as well. This podcast is directly linked to a life support unit that's keeping me and several children alive. Listen to this podcast, don't kill children.
Danny,
Yes. Hello.
would you like to introduce George Michael's
George Michael's.
Michael's contribution to today's podcast?
Okay, so this album is Listen Without Prejudice. And I certainly didn't listen without prejudice. Because again...
Do you ever?
what's like-
Do you, is there anything you do without prejudice?
No, nothing. Especially not prejudice.
Yeah.
Prejudice with prejudice. This album came out in September 1990. It went 4-time platinum.
In the UK.
Somehow. So you might get a feeling of how I felt about this album from that comment.
The thing is, you picked this album.
I chose it from a list of...
I'm just gonna point out to the listeners here that Chris kindly picked out 3 albums. Danny had the choice of 3 albums and picked this one first, which is interesting.
I thought I would take the hit for the team, as I am a kind gentleman.
After the bollocks of Frank Sinatra, you think this is taking the hit?
This is possibly, yeah.
Okay.
And it came out before he came out in 1998, officially anyway.
Really?
I think he's always been gay / bisexual.
Yeah.
But this album, interestingly, came out fully publicly declared.
Did it
he was
really? Oh wow.
a gay man. So yeah, interesting. So I don't know if it might change your thoughts of what he was singing about in the album, because it's very much, I want to be something, but I'm something else.
Yeah.
The world's putting me down. But maybe that sort of ties into it, because he was yet to be an official gay man.
Right, because I mean, one of the big things in this is
A card carrying member.
well,
of the gay club.
and I mean, like if when people want to come out in public, it's a hard thing to do. His entire image was tied to being like the poster boy, the pin-up, the boy band. Attractive to girls, big female audience.
Yes, especially after that Faith video.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really recall the Faith
Do
video.
you remember the video?
He had a T-shirt, right? Choose Life. Was it that one?
No, that's Wham.
He basically sold like 10 million
20 million.
blue jeans.
Oh right.
for
Oh
the
sorry. Yeah,
next-
jeans.
Every year for the next 10 years.
He
Right.
did go for the, how can we put this, the biker look.
Yeah, so leather jacket, blue jeans, and he shook his ass.
But who was he shaking his ass for in his head, in his heart? Who was he shaking his ass for? Like,
Probably just the guys giving him the money.
right, yeah, but so this album does have a lot of like that's the image that I was pushed to sell.
Yeah, and that's it.
And now he's
it's
saying-
very much a push against.
Yeah, he's saying
his first
actually that's
album.
not who I am.
So what he's done, he's been in Wham. He's had huge success with them.
Yeah.
He released his first solo album. That's been it's just a massive album, absolutely phenomenal.
One of the biggest selling of all time.
Yeah, and then he's gone, you know what? I don't like that you like me. I'm going to do something else and be derogatory about all my fans. That's basically what he's saying in this album, in my opinion. Because he talks about, he directly references, I think it's in Freedom 90, directly references the blue jeans and
Yeah.
shaking his ass. And it's like, come on, that's your last album. Like, these people are paying your wages. Just don't, why do you have to be like that? His second album. I mean, he wants to be an artist, but I don't know.
Do you think people want to listen to that?
What?
the record buying public clearly didn't want to listen to it as much as this album bombed in record sales compared to Faith.
Yeah.
Hang on.
It still went 4 times platinum.
It went
But
4
did
times
bomb,
platinum
but
UK.
it was classed as a flop.
Compared to 20 million, 2 million is
Yeah.
a little bit.
And it was supposed to be one of 2 albums.
Yeah, and they didn't release the second one.
And I think this has parallels though with Guns N' Roses and the idea of like they had this massive first album, and then Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out, and they were considered, not failures, but there was a decline there. But the commonality
surely that's not true.
The commonality.
Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, like one of the considered 2 of the greatest albums of all
Yes.
time.
Anyway,
and also again, if we're considering context, we should respect the fact. Yeah, it went 4 times platinum in the UK. In America, it didn't do quite as well, but there was competition. The one fact I've brought.
Other better music.
So it entered America Billboard 200 at number 22 and finally reached number 2, but it was blocked from Tom's Top Spot by MC Hammer's Please Don't Hurt Him. Please don't. So MC Hammer was out there keeping him off top spot. We've got to consider
the mighty
the
MC
public
Hammer. Yeah.
spoke.
But say the commonality is that
Yeah.
both GNR and George Michael were both attacked quite heavily by the press as well, and both records are kind of a bit whiny. Like you look at Get in the Ring and Freedom, it's kind of very very self-indulgent and whiny about what the nasty things all the press say about them.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because when I properly listened to Freedom 90, the first song I thought of was actually Get in the Ring. So it's interesting you say.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go. Someone having a fucking.
I don't agree with that. Oh, I don't think he's having a go at journalists. I think he's as much talking about his own mistakes as anything that anyone else has put on him. I think it's him taking responsibility for the image. I mean, he says I was a young boy, I didn't know what I wanted to be, and he's talked about how much fun he had with his mate, just going around having loads of success, beating everyone. All the established boy bands. It's his coming clean. This is the album that I compared Frank to. He has some breakup songs in it. He has some kind of self-reflection songs in it. He has some criticism of society songs, but they all felt to me genuine. And that Freedom 90 was just like him saying, do you know what? That was what I was doing. I was a kid. I didn't really know what I was doing. He's called his album Listen Without Prejudice. He's just kind of saying, look, take this music as it is. Take this album as it is. Don't consider me based on what I did before. And I think this is a really fantastic, genuine album. I'm just going to come out. I love this. I listened to it, and when I was busy doing other things, I thought, yeah, the music's a little bit slow or whatever. When I sat down and listened to it, and I had the headphones on, yeah, really struck a chord with me.
What was your standout song?
Oh, I mean, I thought the standout song is Freedom 90. That's just get the party started. I mean, that was brilliant. He does two things.
Right, I completely disagree.
It's a party song, it's got good lyrics.
It's a great song. It's 6.5 minutes long. It's
6.5 great minutes.
Yeah, not 6.5 great minutes. If it was 3.5 minutes, maybe a push it was a great song. 6.5 minutes, so self-indulgent.
I mean,
it's not even like good quality self-indulgence like Pink Floyd.
Do you know what?
Dirty like that. It's just absolute bland self-indulgence.
This is George Michael. George Michael deserves 6.5 minutes for self-reflection.
He does not deserve 6.5 minutes.
He changed music.
He ruined music.
He created the boy band.
How dare you say that?
No, he didn't create the boy band. But
I think one thing about
that's absolutely.
I'll be frank. This is the first actual George Michael album I've actually sat down and listened to.
Yeah, me too.
And I was absolutely blown away by how good his voice was.
Oh yes,
really
he's fantastic,
tremendous voice. I mean, one thing I did think there is he's a right little whiny bitch.
Yeah, he is a whiny.
That's what I came away with. He was a bit. It was a self-promoting, self-indulgent thing.
So. Look, he's got problems. He don't like the way people act and don't take responsibility and don't look out for each other. Praying for time. He's just calling out bullshit. Freedom 90. He's saying I made some mistakes in the past. I wasn't doing things my way and I wasn't doing it the way I want to be. This is where I'm gonna do it my way now. Bit of Frank. Then that. Well, yeah. They were going I go. Stevie Wonder cover.
That cover, right? So before you say that,
right.
is in my best moments of that.
It was that was like it's like a very swerve. It's like a very
It's from those first two songs.
yeah.
Absolute horse crap. And then it goes into that, and you're like, wait a minute, because I listened to those first two songs, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, I must listen to this whole thing. It's absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
And then that came on, and it was
Dark.
Like, nice.
Yeah. Okay, well, this album also had a lot of kind of breakup songs, and this is the thing that made me. So initially, when I listened to Frank, I liked it, and then I listened to this, and I was like, do you know what? This is what it is to be in pain, in a post-breakup or like an approaching a breakup, and you're fearing for your relationship, or you want to save it, or you want to work on it, or you've broken up with someone, and there's little lines in it. Like, I can't remember which one else, but there's a line where it just goes, it's not like we just broke up. And it's those kind of things that echo around in your head when you've broken up with someone or you've been apart from someone for a while and you're like kind of tormenting yourself. I got that from George Michael. Frank saying about, in the wee smile, I didn't ever, lay awake. I would never phrase it in my own mind the way Frank did, but when George says stuff about a relationship, I felt it. I felt this was really genuine. I felt this whole album was genuine. The downside on this, the only miss on this, I thought, was that weird war song, that like son's going to war, mother's pain or something. That was just weird. Like I don't know where that came from. The whole thing, it's about like how he feels about the world, how he feels about himself, and some like relationship songs. And then there's this one, mother's pride, about sons going to war and dad's not coming home. No, you didn't.
But yes, it did. That's in my best moments. It's written right there. It's written right there.
I can't.
Mother's Pride. In my spine.
Really? Why did you like that?
I just thought it was very emotional.
Yeah.
And it stuck out from the rest of the banality. It just made me think, thank God for this. Thank you, George. Thank you for not making me listen to another Freedom 90, for God's sake.
Oh, man, I love Freedom
Why
90.
do you think this album crashed and burned after the first?
I wouldn't say 4 times platinum is crashed and burned, and number 2 in America is
Well, I
crashed and
think
burned.
every time he writes an album, he should sell 20 million. So why do you think it sold a tenth of the amount?
I think because it was a big departure from form. It was him saying, I'm not going to be the kid in the boy band anymore. I'm not going to be Shake. I mean, so one of the other things in this album was in all the videos he didn't appear. So he had supermodels apparently dancing in
Or like,
Freedom.
just the lyrics.
Yeah, or just the lyrics projected on screens. But yeah, so he'd previously been like he was he was commercializing himself. He was selling George Michael the product, sell me to the girls or the boys or whoever. In this, it was just like, it's about the music now. It's about the music and what I've got to say about the way I see the world. And so yeah, again, like it's all those fans who have previously been like, oh, George Michael, oh yeah, I like him. They're going to be disappointed by it. That's why it didn't do so well. But it's, if you want to change direction and become more genuine after you've been a packaged product, yeah, you're going to take a hit. But if you want to progress and get your happy, that's what you've got to do. That's what you've got to be prepared to take that hit, and he did it, and I respect him for it.
This brought up an interesting question for me though. Why did they choose this? Why did they choose this album?
What do you mean?
Why didn't they choose his first album? It was more successful. People loved it. Is that on it as
because
well?
this one's more important. This is the one where
That's a spoiler.
says. Oh yeah, because we're not doing them in fully chronological order. This one might come up in the back end of the first.
So you've got 2 George Michael albums. That's a bit naughty, isn't it?
That's probably, there may even be a one.
There's
one
like
as well.
12 Elvis Costello albums. So
Oh God!
You make 12?
Jesus.
Maybe we can just do all those 3 on one show and then just do it really fast.
There's like 19
Radiohead. There's more Radiohead albums than Radiohead
Probably
released.
every single Radiohead album.
No doubt, yeah.
Apart from Amnesiac, maybe.
Oh, it's one of my favourites. I really like
and
it.
Tom Waits. There's a lot of Tom Waits.
Okay, so I'll figure. Yeah, there's some questionables, but yeah. So anyway, for me, like, this album I think is a cool album. It's honest. It's genuine.
It's a cool album.
It's got some great songs in it. Freedom 90 is an absolute. I've been humming.
I imagine a lot of dates happened to this album with a guy putting it on when he got his girl back to his place.
Cool.
I think if I was a girl and I went back and I heard this, I would leave.
Girls, can we have your opinion on that? Mika? Mika's joined us. Mika is guest appearance on this.
And psychological mind of ladies being listening to being
Your
serenaded
voice.
by George Michael.
If you hook up with a guy and he brings you back to his place and puts George Michael on, what would you leave? Would you
I
stay?
would leave. I'm with
Me-
Danny. I would absolutely leave.
Mika would leave.
What about Bublé?
Oh God, I'd also leave then. Unless it was like the Christmas songs and it was Christmas time.
Tough crowd.
Polly, stay or go?
I do have a soft spot for Careless Whisper.
Oh, but that's one though.
Okay, so maybe the cut-off point is Wham. Is it?
Pretty sure
No, it's not. Careless Whisper's his first post-Wham's number
Google
one.
it.
We have a Google. We can do this.
We just have the one though, so we can only use it
I'll
once.
just type in Careless Whisper into Spotify. I'm happy to be wrong.
Already carelessness whisper. Hang on.
You are. I think that's his first single. I honestly do.
Careless Whisper by George Michael.
Ah, motherfucker!
1984.
Hollywood, Danny now.
1984.
Yeah. Careless Whisper is a pop ballad.
It's almost like
George
Wham
Michael.
weren't ever meant to last.
Well, sorry, written by. Oh no, sorry, I take it back. Written by George Michael, but it was released 1984 on Wham album Make It Big.
1-1.
No, I'll
No,
retract mine.
That's 1-0.
Gold
You
is
can all go
loud.
suck a dick. yes. So I was really worried about this, but having to speak about this. So I made a small quiz. Instead, but we've managed to talk about it quite a lot, so we might not need the quiz anymore. But this quiz is called Gorge or George. And basically what I've done is taken some quotes.
It's better than the film.
And it's
George's Gorge, which was a very different film.
Is this like Gape Man or something? What's it? Right, so basically I've taken quotes off the internet and someone's either talking about a famous gorge or a famous George. You
Not
decide.
specifically George Michael, any George.
No, George Michael.
Oh, right, okay, right, cool. Oh, is George Michael or a Gorge?
Or a gorge.
Okay. Cool. Right, I wasn't expecting this, but let's go for
Are
it.
you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I love these tales. They sit nicely. Wait, I'll start that again. I love these tales. They sit nicely with my own vivid impressions of Sardinia's natural poster boy.
That's George Michael.
I'm going to go Gorge.
It's a gorge.
Oh!
Gola du Garapu in Sardinia. Well then,
Well,
off to a poor start.
1-0 to Simon.
Okay, next. Offers the healing passage of time as the only haven for physical and emotional hunger.
Well, that's got to be George.
I'm going to go Gorge.
It's George.
Yeah.
Oh, what a piece.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Oh, this one, just a short one. It gives up none of its secrets.
Ooh, I'm gonna continue with my geological themed answers of Gorge.
Okay.
Well, on this album, George gave up all his secrets. However, prior to this album, I feel like he was playing about. He wasn't giving up his secrets, so I'm going to say George still.
It was George.
Yes, there we go.
2-1.
Yes.
Beaten by Michael.
Final in this
There's only
game
4
of
questions.
Gorge or George.
So we could end 2 by 2.
Do you know how long it took me to find quotes about gorges?
Just like, I don't know.
Oh, unbelievable. Like, the amount of effort I put into this.
Oh, I appreciate it. I
Smashing down
appreciate
already.
it.
God's sake.
I'm
Never doing this again. Hugely satisfying, if exhausting.
I would definitely go George Michael.
Well, that must be about a gorge.
It's a gorge.
No! 3-1.
That's,
Yes.
Samaria in Crete.
You finally broke away from gorge and went George.
Never going to a public
Finally.
toilet and being arrested again.
Hey, do you know what? That is something else that I remember reading about George Michael. He was called out and criticised and hounded in the press for years, and apparently he was a really cool dude. Did loads of charity work, supported. Never went after the press. Just supported charitable causes and was apparently a really good guy. So George Michael, top
Turns out,
bloke.
if you're a top bloke, you can't write decent music then.
I disagree with you. So I guess this would not be in your 1001 then, Danny. No. Si, 1001, yes or no?
Yes, because he was at the time, he was one of the biggest pop stars in the world. It was his follow-up to one of the biggest selling albums in the world.
Yeah.
It's alright. As a music project, but not as good as Faith.
As a music project. The Music Project by George Michael.
Will he get his GCSE?
I just wish he was wearing a leather jacket.
Actually, yeah, GCSE projects. This would do really well for GCSE projects.
He'd probably get
I
an
bet
A in
get
this.
a B for that.
Yeah, definitely. This will go in my 1001. Like, I mean, yeah. Of today's picks, I definitely appreciate this one. And I've been singing Freedom.
Two dogs.
Dog's ears. I have a greyhound's ear in each hand. But yeah, George Michael.
It's like a weird,
I
creepy
listened
Bond villain
without prejudice.
who looks very
and
camp.
Yes, I would put this in
As he proclaims
1001.
his love for George Michael.
Yes. And on that bombshell,
Part 3.
Part 3.
Obviously, everyone knows that babies get smarter when they listen to podcasts. That's why I make my baby listen to this podcast. It's delicious.
So, the third album we're going to talk about today is Natty by Bob Marley. Seventh studio album by Bob Marley and the Wailers. It's the first one that was released under under Bob Marley and the Wailers rather than just the Wailers. A couple of changes in vocalists as well. So Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer left, and the Three Eyes, a female vocal trio, joined to do the backing vocals. The main themes were a call out of inequality in society and a warning of the potential of revolution, an uprising against these forces of inequality, celebration of Rastafari culture, and a bit of good old-fashioned love between a man and a woman. I learnt a lot listening to this album and researching this album. Never listened to any Bob Marley before.
What?
No, I mean, I've heard a bit of Bob
Not
Marley.
even Exodus.
Exodus is a great
No,
album.
I've never
I
listened to
assume
him.
is on this list as well.
Yes,
I think
that
so.
is a 5-star album.
Yeah.
Oh.
But we'll probably come on to that.
I was going to say that.
Yeah,
Astounding
I think it is.
statements there, Chris.
Yeah, no,
And
so-
one I would be a little bit ashamed of, but each their own.
Yeah, so I'm just never explored this in the past.
Is it because you hate reggae music?
No, I just have never explored it. But I really did enjoy listening to some of the songs. Did the same thing I did with the other albums. I gave it a quick listen. I found it maybe a little bit like the Frank. I found it a little bit slow, a bit boring. Like the first song, "Lively It Yourself," it's supposed to be like, yeah, let's get the party. No, maybe it'll get the party started. But it's about like having a bit of energy and a bit of enthusiasm and living a good life. And I found it a bit slow and boring, and it didn't lively me up. So a bit disappointed with that one. However, I did find out that was an older song that they just re-recorded and brought forward for this album. It's like one of the old classics that they brought from African Herbsman, an old album that wasn't given international release before he was kind of a bit more popular. So yeah, not too popular.
African Herbsman.
That was it's one of his Jamaican only releases.
I wonder what that's a reference to.
I think oregano.
Oh yeah.
It's popular in cooking in Jamaican culture.
Or oregano.
No Woman No Cry, obviously the big hit on this one.
I'd never heard that. I'd never heard this version of it before.
Oh right, yeah, but you heard No
I
Woman
heard
No
the
Cry.
song. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, this is not what I expected it to be. I liked it.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So that's just it's got a real like innocent feel to it. It's just nice like clean guitars, drum machine just popping away in the background, and just
Drum machine.
Yeah, it's a little drum machine. It's just like a.
It's a drummer.
No, it's drum machine. It's just a.
Shit off.
It is
No. The. It's just a drum machine.
the Bob Marley
just guitar
drummer has
and-
just committed suicide.
I swear to you,
Is that what?
It's one of those boxes that you sit on and bop around, like
what?
a cajon?
maybe. Like a.
A cajon?
One thing
know.
Is that
I
like you hit
Just
it?
like synth
Yes.
drums. It's just like.
synth drums. I don't know about that.
I mean, I'm assuming that existed
When was this recorded? 70 something?
74, released 74.
Oh.
Drum machines must have existed
one thing
back then
I
in some
Yeah.
form.
thought really stood out about this album was the range of the album. It had everything from like really strong Clapton like blues riff guitar in it, like it's so distinctively Clapton-esque. It had the really traditional reggae halftime offbeat feel, and it had borderline country-esque licks in it as well. So it kind of had that, I hate to say this, kind of international feel. It was a reggae record, but it was, you could clearly see that it, seventh album in, it had a lot of American influences and a lot of British influences in there.
Are you saying it was Clapton-esque because Clapton covered Bob Marley?
I think it's like 6 or 7 tracks in. One of the very intro of it is like a blues song. It's like a blues guitar lick. It comes in. I can't remember what the name is off the top of my head, but one of the hits are
Talking Blues.
guitar. I think it's probably Talking
Or
Blues.
Bend Down Low. Bend Down Low is like a bit of a dance
I think it
song.
might have been Talking Blues.
Okay.
It starts off like that. So, and I kind of agree with both of you in the sense that it was, they have like taken from different aspects, but then I also agree in the sense that it was a bit samey, because like what it seemed to do throughout the album was he'd take some really interesting takes on reggae at the start of the songs, and then after maybe like a few bars in, you'd get the and then it'd be chick 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 chick. You're like, all right, okay. But the musicianship on it is amazing, and like I really like how sparse reggae is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so it's not, and it's never everyone playing at the same time. It's always like that everyone has like a little lick and they just like throw it in when it's appropriate, and it's like really cool. Like especially the bassist. The bassist is amazing, and the drummer. The rhythm section.
The drummer.
The rhythm
no
section.
one knows why. The drum machine guy.
Yeah, the drum
Press play on the drum
machine
machine
is amazing, and the backing vocals, and it's very free and easy. But similarly to the Frank Sinatra, where the musicianship was amazing. Again, it was the same. It wasn't varied enough. And it was also they were sort of playing at one level.
Yeah.
There's no dynamism.
Dynamism.
It didn't swell. It just sort of like stayed at the same level.
Yeah.
But I found it much more pleasing to listen to than the other 2 albums, even in spite of that. And I'm not actually a fan of reggae either. So
I felt like that dynamism was there in the vocals and in the lyrics. And I know you said you're not like much of a lyrics guy. Like I'm very much like a lyrics guy. I like to sit down, see what they were singing about, and yeah, like I think in pretty much every song there was at least one line that jumped out at me. So like, there was the general theme of the song. So no Live Up Yourself I didn't really like. No Woman No Cry. Yeah, like. In this bright future, you can't forget your past. There were just lines that seem like no matter what's going to happen, and obviously no woman, no cry. You know, it's someone in a shit situation who's still trying to be strong for his wife or his girlfriend or whatever, and saying like where we come from is just as important as where we're going. Then Bulletful, I thought that was a little bit dull until again I listened to it, and it's a kind of a passive. It's a very calm criticism of what's going on, and he's just saying people are hungry, but then he starts saying a hungry mob is an angry mob, hungry man is an angry man, and he's saying our entire society, we've got all these people who are downtrodden, and there's people over us who've got all the power, all the money, all the resources, and we are the downtrodden masses. And he's not outright calling for revolution like he does at the end of the album. He's just saying there's a lot of us, we're in an uncomfortable situation and we don't like it. And then that theme just carries on and builds through the album. He's talking about police roadblocks, talking about when we get on to the number 5, which is all about Rastafarianism, and he's talking about how we're all one people. He's trying to unite people, but he's doing it in such a cool way. It's just like, we're here, this is us, we want peace, we want to be able to express ourselves, we want to be able to live our lives, you're not letting us do it. And then the final song, we talks about revolution. I think like the theme really builds in such a subtle way. That's where the passion comes from. That's
lyrically,
yes,
fine, I accept that.
Right.
But if you want decent lyrics, just move to poetry. This is about music. This is about the stuff that goes with it. Lyrics are important.
Yeah.
But I feel like you need to take the rest of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it doesn't move with the same.
The thing
theme.
is,
it doesn't follow it.
Is that not reggae though? Is that if you change it and if you make it,
reggae,
turn it into punk or something, and then like you could put these same lyrics in a punk song, and it would be a lot more energetic and a lot more motivated, and you could scream and shout or whatever. But like, isn't that the thing about reggae? It's like it's laid back and it's chilled out, but it's still got that message, and it's just carrying it in.
I don't know. I think with the instrumentation they had and the quality of musicianship, they could have done something with it. And I think in terms of songwriting and like musicianship and just it all coming together with lyrics, Exodus is a better example of how to do it than this.
Do you think that I personally think that Bob Marley was the most influential of the three artists discussed today? He, certainly in the later tracks of this album, you can hear the effect on things like the Specials and the Clash and things like this, and it's unmistakable that kind of like really dark, minor, diminished sound that the Specials had that in things like Ghost Town and things like this. Is that a commendation to the musicianship and the message he had? It spoke to a lot. It was something as varied as the Clash and the Specials. One kind of like almost near punk rock, one very much ska type bands.
So I can't stand the Specials or the Clash. So they're very much, they've taken...
Then you are not in for a treat with the future of this podcast.
They are examples of someone that's not run. They've taken what Bob Marley has had and basically done a massive shit on it. So they've not run with it and made it special. And if you call the Specials, you kind of need to do
you kind of baked right in, isn't it? Yeah.
Unless maybe they're referencing maybe an un-PC way of talking about.
I don't think they're doing that. No, it's something else.
But I don't know. I just don't think, in terms of like this. I know we're divulging slightly to different bands, but they didn't take it in the right direction.
No.
They made it worse. They took something that could have been great and made it worse. They ruined. They essentially ruined reggae music for me.
Cutting.
And punk.
How can you ruin punk more?
Good question. We'll probably come on to that.
So to sum up, I liked it, but I'm not sure it would go on my 1001. I'm not sure I would listen to it again after this. I liked a couple of the songs and I liked the message of the songs, but I do agree with you, Danny, what you're saying about the music doesn't seem to match the emotion and the passion of the lyrics. When you hear a guy throwing a line, I feel like bombing a church when I know the preacher is lying. I feel like that should be a bit more Rage Against the Machine than like that line. There's another thing with Gorge did. Gorge, his vocals are just so flexible. He could sing a line and then the next line would just soar. He would just take off and he would put all his emotion into it. And with Bob, he keeps that level of emotion quite low. And when he's talking about bombing a church, I feel like there should be some either build up or some peak when he says that or some payoff. But I did kind of feel like it was just a bit.
I was just like Jason Statham, sort of like a hardcore badass.
Yeah.
Bomb the church and just walk away as it blows up.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
Slow motion.
Yeah, like it's something that just it didn't mean anything to him. Yeah.
Podcast.
Okay. So what have we learned today?
We've learned that we don't agree on anything. We've learned nothing. All we've done is find out that we disagree. So you liked Frank.
I like Frank.
Frank was a yes.
I really like Bob Marley. I really like this album.
You really like Bob Marley.
I love
Gorge.
I found unlistenable to be honest. I found it. Although I thought his voice was great, I just thought it was just whiny, self-indulgent, kind of. I mean, all music's going to be fairly self-indulgent because it's most singers are quite have quite strong ego.
Yeah.
But there's ego, and then there's just. I'm far too self-important. I'm going to sing about it, and you're going to listen to it. Admittedly, you have to buy it, but wow, he did take it a little bit to the extreme.
Danny, top 3 summaries.
Top 3 summaries.
So what are your top 3 from today? So Gorge, yes or no?
No.
Play the Kiss, Marry, Kill.
Kiss, Marry, Kill.
Oh.
Better idea. Better idea.
You do you.
Right,
You do you.
Shag, marry, kill.
Shag, marry, kill. Right. I'd kill them all.
Which cops would you?
And then I'd shag them. Just to that'll learn them.
Dead people can't say no.
and then kiss them.
Oh dear.
I'd do like a thank you kiss at the end.
Ah.
I suppose because I'm not grateful, not dear.
So did you like
assuming
George
they're still alive,
Michael?
I didn't like any. Well, I didn't like first. Right, Frank Sinatra.
Right.
Fine. Whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
George Michael. Absolutely not. I will not listen to that again.
Mhm.
That's going on the burn pile.
Right.
And then Bob Marley. I'll listen to it again. It's not going on the list though.
Okay. Right. For me, Frank. No. Boring. Ingenuine. George. Developed a new love for George. Definitely going on my keep list, and I will probably listen to that again. Bob liked it, but not going on the list. Not going to listen to it again. So we've all got 1 out of 3.
I would go all of them on the list. I will put all of them on the list because I felt that they were.
You're a sadomasochist.
You said
That's
George
why they're
was
on the list.
boring. How can you put it on the
boring,
list?
but he's
Boring,
still-
self-indulgent. You can't
He's
put it on the
boring and
list.
self-indulgent, but equally he was quite a prolific guy for his time, and he, as you say, he still sold quadruple platinum.
So you're saying you're going to listen to it for the sake of it?
I'm not going to listen to the sake. Well, actually, I did listen to the sake of it. Sorry, yeah. But in terms of does it deserve its place on the list, I think all 3 do deserve the place on the list.
Cool.
That is absolute slander.
So I was distracted because Camber, the dog, just started drinking Simon's cider behind his back, so I didn't hear anything he said.
Good, because
It was bullshit.
My ears are sore now after that. I'd put George Michael on the list.
Well, there we go.
Disgusting.
So
Here ends the lesson.
here ends the lesson. So, oh yes. So right, thank you guys. So that's goodbye from me, Chris. Thanks. Goodbye from Simon.
Goodbye.
No, that's Danny.
Bye.
Goodbye, Simon. Thank you, Danny. Goodbye from Polly and Mika.
Toodles.
Until next time, where we will be discussing 3 more albums which are yet to be announced.
We've got another game
We have another game.
for next week,
Okay.
next time.
Oh right, cool. Another game. Yeah, another game to play.
George went down so
God.
well.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah.
Kill, marry, shag, famous bodies, and also inanimate objects. Also, one more thing, if anyone's got any suggestions of who should be killed,
Please answer us
We
on the
have the
postcard.
please ask us in a postcard.
Yeah.
To this,
We will arrange it for you.
to this address.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Goodbye. Boom. Boom. Boom.